losing those connections, it's an investment of time to go in and find who's the next person. So for example, we see Tucson JCC, Devin, welcome.
Mary,
Yes.
Mary, I'm sorry. Can you hold off for just a minute? We've got a technical issue with the YouTube, so we are not streaming.
Hold, please.
Can we just put you on hold for just a minute while we get that fixed here? Sorry about that.
That's all right. Everybody can take a deep breath or sip of coffee.
Okay, we're good now. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh, that was brief. Okay, thank you, Crystal. So we were talking about the deliverables for the program. If anyone would ever want to describe to leadership, or if you're having staff meetings to that level, we have what's called the TRPY, which is a 2-page quick summary of the program. It has links of the ordinances that we have to live by. So that makes it a real tight, concise way to explain why do we do this, the ordinances that guide us, all the deliverables. That is on our website under employer resources. If anyone ever needed to share that information, certainly can always email us as well. We can share that with you, but it's available because sometimes it might be a new backup TC, but it also may be a new member of leadership that you have to explain why we have to do this type of activity. And with the last census, we have Tucson metro region that hit 1 million. So as we grow and move forward, I always like to remind everybody that the rules of engagement that we have here are very different than the ones that are in Maricopa County. So in Maricopa County, if people do not make their minimum of 60% response rate, which we have a requested 50% response rate, they can levy $300 fines per day. Becky, I know you work all across the state, and while you have van pools, you certainly engage with people who do TRP, and that it's a very different world out there between Pinal, Maricopa, and Pima County. So, since I just spoke of Becky, I'll let you know that van pool activity has also increased. That was something we were really excited to put in our annual report. Van pool activity has increased up to 17 vans. We were at 13 in 2022. And while that seems like a small jump, it's significant. All the van pools that are on the road generate NTD funds. Those NTD funds come back to the region. We do a report in October, which we just wrapped up, and well, wrapped up a month ago, but all the dollars are calculated. I call it the Washington, D.C. washing machine. We put all the data in and it comes back as $5,307 that support transit in this region. City of Tucson is the federal designated recipient of those funds. So it's a quick estimate, but when we think about what does a vehicle generate every month, very estimate, can't be quoted, but it's about $12,000 a month based on mileage, based on expenses, all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty significant. We're on the doorstep of about $400,000 that is generated in 5307 funds. The other piece that was really a big deal that we put in our report was that we have the multi-site functionality that makes multiple address sites. So for example, we have Pima County and City of Tucson. We also have Renee from Pima Community College on. When you have an employer that has multiple addresses, we now have it compressed and easily set up so that we can update all that information much more easily. Carlos, I see you from Walmart. You're also a multi-address site. So the big shift in the paradigm was we had 254 sites. We compressed the multi-address sites. Now we have 164 sites. So it looked like we shrank, but on the flip side of that, we went from 132,000 employees to over 150,000 employees. So by capturing those additional sites into one with a pull-down menu, it allowed us to reach more people in the Tucson metro area, which is huge. That's what we're after. More people knowing about TRP, commute options, van pools, how to carpool, all of those things. So it was a significant database trick in what we implemented that in February. And then we're moving forward when we anniversary about 1 year, that will be coming up in a few months. We're currently at 18 multi-address sites. So when you think of, in many cases, the retail operations, or when you have jurisdictions like Pima County and City of Tucson, they're a little bit different because they're very large, but we also have Amphi School District, Sunnyside School District, Vale School District. Being able to engage and capture all the different locations that are in those school districts really gave us a big jump. So we're seeing from Arizona Corporation Commission, we have some big employers that are coming to town. When they announce them, it looks as if they would be boots on the ground immediately, where we can go out to them and pitch TRP to them, but they have to like get settled, get operating, and move forward. When that happens, let's say plus a year from now, then potentially we would have the opportunity to bring them into TRP and increase the growth of the total number of sites. The other piece about our growth and expansion and all the things that we've done enhancing the online portal, we would love to say that we want to replace everything with the push of a button, but we know that's not true. And that would be the same for any of you that are on your plate is the assignment of TRP. You can send all the emails, but nothing can replace that person-to-person interaction, or even if it's virtual, like we're doing today's meeting, is helping people understand in the own way that they can connect. So some people can connect because it has to do with the fact that it's a health concern. Others because it's about money and they can save money if they carpool or if they van pool. So it's those different messages that we can offer to share information about TRP, or the fact that transit is free. And it's looking like it will probably be free for the coming future. Is what are people's options? We all know that everything is getting more expensive. I actually saw a very funny post that said most expensive vehicle to operate currently, and it was a shopping cart. That was very funny. It's going to the grocery store, especially the week of Thanksgiving. Also, when we look at a big factor that we use when we are reporting both to ADEQ and also when we conduct our monthly reports, is we have a air quality coordinator, air quality manager, through the MOVES model, which is an EPA designated modeling run that we do every year. What happens is the factor of how many miles traveled that equates to pounds of pollution saved, that jumped significantly. So when we received the results of that MOVES model run for this year, we went from 80 miles per pound to 101.2. Since I've been at PAG and I'm working on my 9th year, I've never seen a jump like that. So when we see big shifts that account for those numbers, we're looking at electric vehicles and all the different changes, CNG vehicles, all the vehicles that are produced and manufactured now being more efficient. So it's something to share when you're sitting around your Thanksgiving table. Did you know? So it is that vehicles are becoming more efficient and environmentally friendly to see that kind of number shift. Also, when we talk about results that we report, the number of survey responses, we had 51,102 survey responses, or 50.13% of our total. And the total mileage saved was 87,766,224 miles. Those are some big numbers. And when we think about pollution that we avoided, it was 869,537 pounds. That's a big turkey. So, any questions related to this kind of information?
You got them on the edge of their seats, Mary.
Oh, numbers. It's all about the numbers. I know that with some of our large employers, for example, Walmart, they have significant sustainability goals, and all of this kind of information, if there is reporting or anything that they put into their own mix, because environmental reporting is not required currently by the feds, but there are some very large employers that are incorporating this into what they serve up to their board, depending on how they're structured. So if you want any of this information, the annual report is on the Travel Reduction Program website on PAG.com. Karen has a question. Yes, Karen.
Hi. So seeing that 87 million plus miles saved, that's awesome. Now, and that's just direct from the survey responses, right? It's not projected out to the larger population of each employer. Okay, thank you.
Correct. There is a page that does say based on 100%. That is an entire grid that's incorporated into the report. So you can see the comparison of the two.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, and if for whatever reason, sometimes it's hard to find documents on our website, but if you can't find it, just let me know and I can send you the link. So, other fun things. While he is not here today, Peter, who is our app developer, and the wizard, oh, Adam had the best description of him. He is an engineer, an exterminator. You had 3 words for him. What was that?
Oh gosh, I think it was a magician, engineer, and exterminator or something like that. But yeah, killing the bugs and also using his magic is definitely a big part of why we love Peter.
Yes, and Peter is the mastermind behind the online platform. And as we use this online tool, and as you give feedback to us, we're able to make a wish list, and Peter magically does his behind the scenes coding. All of this certainly is built on top of what we call Sun Rideshare database, or the TripSpark third-party solution that we use, our CRM. So things that we were able to do in 2023 that are amazing is we have the TRP tracker. For those of you, most of you, is what I'm seeing online, have conducted your survey this year. But at the bottom of every reminder email that TCs receive during their survey month, there is a link that by using the TC's email and the passcode or your company code, you can check what your performance is for the survey anytime, 24/7. So before, we had to have people email us, we'd send them their results. Now they have greater access. They can see, even with multi-address sites, they are able to look at which site is doing well, where do they have to direct their time and energy to motivate those employees by site. Because often, if you're in some centralized place and you're trying to reach out to everybody, you may not even be in the same state. Like Carlos is in California. All of his stores are here. Plus, he does TRP for Maricopa and other locations. So this type of functionality was really a game changer to be able to say we have not only multi-address sites, but now we have a way to let the TCs see how they're doing in real time. So even if you put in and you had 10 more responses, you could go back and look at that TRP tracker and know where your percentage has changed. Other rollouts, the RWE updates. We now are up to 10 employers, which is 7,825 employees, or 5.2. An RWE employer is a site that has embraced either hybrid or 100%. It's 40% or greater, so you can be hybrid, or completely remote. So as we went through COVID and we had to meet employers where they were, we looked at what are the options here. So when we have employers that 40% or greater are either working a hybrid schedule, or in some cases they pulled out of brick and mortar entirely, we came up with this RWE confirmation. So we launched this July a year ago, so we're about a year and a half in. And it's a great solution for those that have that remote element. It is not a great solution on our side in terms of trying to track which ones have anniversaried and have to reconfirm. So we're working through some solutions. We'll have those enhancements in place hopefully by January, because our wish list gets submitted to Peter, who is our online Santa. He does all the coding and then it's all implemented. But we'll have those in a format that we're able to see who is confirmed and who hasn't. It's not the same as when you're doing a complete online survey and you can see the numbers change. It's a yes or a no feature. So doing some more work on that. Multi-address employers I mentioned earlier, we have 18 currently. If we count City of Tucson and Pima County, who have been multi-address employers for longer than a year, we actually have 20. So that's a great number. We're hoping as we're able to capture more retail and also larger employers that have a lot of different addresses, like Banner. Banner is monstrous. It's not just the big hospital that's at Campbell and Speedway and also down on Ajo. They have all the different clinics that are spread all across the city, and Sonora Quest Labs also roll up underneath them. So keeping them engaged because they reach a lot of different people is super important. And with those multi-site employers, well, with all of you, communicating about transit and that we are fare free currently. That can trickle down from an employee to a family member to someone who may need paratransit. It's really important that we get that message out. I spoke about the wish list that we have for 2024 with RWE being color code changes so we can track those. Also, we're going to have some air survey elements that are going to be modified. We're going to make certain fields mandatory. We try and lock that down as best as we can so we get the best data possible. That process is very time intensive. We have to review all that data to make sure it makes sense. We have the ongoing challenge of total number of employees and what an FTE is. So we have that as a pop-up also so people can see what the calculation is in order to give us an accurate FTE count. Okay, so those are the online platform. Any questions about those? Anybody? And also we welcome feedback. If something's not working for you, you don't know how to get to it, please chime in now too. Yes, no, quiet as mice.
I don't have any.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll keep going. All right, new TRP task force. So for those of you who are on this call that are part of the task force, you have a 2-year term, and the 2-year term is going to come to a close at the end of December. And you always have the option to renew and stay with us. Pretty easy assignment. I know we have Kathy is on with us, and Josephine. If by chance you are willing to continue, you can either raise your hand or give us a shout out, and I can count you as going to stay with the program. Josephine's a taker. Excellent.
Woohoo. All right, Maureen as well.
Well, jurisdictions, you're stuck with us. You have to.
Yeah.
And Kathy, love that M3 Engineering is staying with us. Yes, fabulous. Marina. And we are absent Town of Oro Valley and Town of Sarita today. Kathy and Josephine, thank you, thank you. All right, for the rest of you, we sent out we distributed, I guess I should stop and say, does Kathy and Josephine have questions, or you can put your hand down because we got you. But if you have a question, oh, nope, all right, you're good. Okay, in terms of the process, so if you have not already received the nomination form, because what we do is we email it out to the CEOs and we email it out to all the TCs. I know a couple of our jurisdictions asked, do we have to submit a nomination form? I would say only if you are changing the person who's going to be on the task force, I would need even an email that says the name is changing. Jurisdictions have a permanent place at the table. They are our partner jurisdictions who are part of this process. And since PAG is the convener of all those in the region, jurisdictions, that's a given. As for companies, we do focus on the large employers. We want representation across a very diverse group of employers. So it's good that we have a mix. When we look at, and I know it's a strange week because it's a short week and it's a holiday week, but we will be reaching out to those that are on the task force, except for M3 and Bureau of Prisons and Pima Community College, because we have those 3 seats confirmed. I apologize, Renee, you didn't raise your hand, but I would assume you're going to continue.
I'm in.
All right, excellent. I had circled you for a different reason. Got it. So we are focused on filling the 7 seats. So healthcare. I know Encompass was on the line this morning. Wendy. We always welcome those that are challenged with taking care of our elderly and those who work in healthcare. That is a tough industry, both for trying to recruit and especially this time of year in flu season. We try and move all those healthcare entities out of this period of time to do their survey as well, because we find that they have additional challenges. The rule stands is surveys have to be done between January and December, but we can move those dates around. We don't want to move it every year, but we can move those around based on other operational challenges. Just the other day, we had a TC reach out and say, can we change it from this month to this month, because we're doing a bunch of training and we're going to be one-on-one with every employer, and we think we can have a better survey because we're going to have that time with our employees. I was like, absolutely, that sounds fantastic. So if you did not receive any of those materials and you need them, or you work with another employer that has 100 or more FTEs that would be a good fit, we can also recruit those employers, see how, if they're interested. There's no term of how long you've been in TRP to sit on this task force. And we do maintain that it's still only 2 meetings a year. All right, with that, if there's not any questions, I'll flip it over to Adam. I do have to have an interjection here. Today is the first day that Adam is transitioning to a new position with another division of PAG. And he's been with us, what, 7 months? And he's done great things, and he's revised our monthly report, and he's been a great partner. But he will be moving over and working in a different division for PAG. So we're bidding him farewell, but it's only across the hall. And I'll let you share some more about that, Adam, on what your new very long title is.
Oh, yeah. So basically, policy and program analyst for the strategic planning division. Thank you, Mary. I have very much enjoyed my time. The TDM, travel demand management, and TRP will always have a place in my heart, and I'm certain that our paths will cross again. We'll have opportunities to work together. We have done some great stuff in the last few months, and one of the things that we wanted to take some time to do today, especially with the folks who are invested enough to take the time to do this call and serve on the task force, is to try to gather those input and ideas. So really, what I'd like to spend a little bit of time today is first making sure that the interface works for you, and just check in on the online platform functionality. Mary had already talked about some of the improvements that we have planned. We have a couple of known issues out there. Like, we know right now for some folks, they're clicking, I finished my survey, and it's not actually letting them know that anything has happened. So we've got things like that on our radar, but I'd love to open the floor and just see if anybody does have any things that they'd love to see, things that you've been thinking about. This could really make the whole process simpler. Anything like that. I'm opening the door here. Who knows what we're going to let in, but does anybody have anything that you'd really love to see? Karen?
Well, I do have an issue with in the air report with the FTEs. It's always so confusing, and from what I recall, that number is important to determine whether or not a company qualifies to do the survey. And since we have 5 to 6 something thousand employees, it's obvious that we do qualify and we have to do the survey. So it always is a hiccup at my HR department. And if I could avoid that, because the answer is going to be the same, we have to do the survey. So if we could be like, it's people like Pima County who have thousands of employees could be exempt from that question, it would make slightly less headache down the road.
That's a great point, and thank you for bringing that up, Karen. The FTE calculations, it is a major sticking point. I would, there's no point in putting a percentage on it. Dozens and dozens of employers, we have conversations about that, and so not only is it a sticking point for the employers, it occupies a lot of our time as we try to train and retrain this. We have talked about potentially creating, we definitely want to create some sort of easy tutorial that'll walk folks through it. There's an education piece, because HR knows how to do that. Like, it's just a core fundamental for the HR and the way that they do their accounting. So a lot of the problems we run into is when people put like a transportation centered role on being a TC. They don't necessarily have the access to that information. But in a beautiful world, we'd love to even have like a short video or something like that just says, like, this is what you do. You take your total amount of hours, you look at it over the course of a year, everything bundles together, and that's what your FTE is. But again, thanks for mentioning it. That is definitely a shared pain point. It does have a little bit more value than just a pre-qualification or pre-certification as far as the mandate. So I would doubt that we would get into a place where there would be an exemption for it, but certainly it shouldn't be something that really occupies a ton of time. It should be something that HR can look at and calculate, in a matter of minutes. And of course, with our major employers, if we need to figure out something, I know that Mary would be open to the idea of working with you and finding something that's an equitable solution if it's really a major pain point. Anything else on the way that you're getting information, the way that you're interfacing with the online tool? Anything that now's the time. This is the best and the brightest amongst us here. Who can give us these ideas? All right, Mary, I think that means we get an A, right?
Yeah. I'm going to go back to Karen's question about the FTE issue. It becomes a bigger sticking point when you have people who only have 100 employees and they're not full-time, because that gives them flexibility if they wish to step back from TRP. I will tell you, we have about 8 employers they fluctuate a lot. So if they fall below 100, they stay with us, because seasonally they go up and down. And also by implementing the multi-site aggregate of one employer, because everybody's getting a paycheck from one payroll. And then we're able to capture all of those different sites, whether they be 300 at one site, 200 at another, and 88 at a different address. That reach component is what we're after and what's so valuable. We've had some interesting responses from HR folks at different employers where they dispatch all of their employees. So they're not really working in a particular facility during the day. They may start at some yard and load up their work trucks and take off. We can't account for every single scenario. We try and catch as many fish with one net as we can. And we've said it before that in Pima County, we are not going to come after people with a club. We want to engage from a place of education, sharing information, trying to help solve commuter challenges, offer people a way to get to work and school. And because the group now, the team that I have is inclusive of transit and also 5310, which for some of you might be the shuttles that you're seeing that have El Rio or Marana Health Center or Savvy or some of these other nonprofits that operate their own buses. And some of those buses have lifts on them. So when you talk about vulnerable populations, those are the individuals who need transportation to get to the doctor or to get to the food bank. We are really working hard to try and link those Legos together. In some ways, people can operate in silos and they're not sharing information. So we're trying to be better about that. Also, van pools being an option. I mean, everything is increasing in price. We have the question of, how much is gas today and will it be different from next week? When we have 5 people that want to share the price of having to get to work and they work the same shift, we have amazing partners with Enterprise that can show up virtually in person. They will explain it. They will give a bid. They'll tell you based on gas prices, how much you're probably going to spend in gas based on mileage. We have tools that we just need to share. One of my favorite phrases is, it's really hard to get excited about something if you don't understand it. So don't be shy and please reach out, and we want to be able to offer solutions. May not be a TRP solution, it might be a transit solution, it could be a 5310 partner, but we have that information. That was a long-winded answer, sorry.
Well, Mary, I'm glad you said that, because that really segues into the next thing I wanted to bring up, which is we have it listed as program collateral for staff education, but many of the things that Mary just mentioned, in addition to like what motivates people to want to take alt commutes is what information is out there that your employees could use. Like, how do they get in touch with the folks from Vanpool? How do they do any of this stuff? We have a marketing team here. We can't do custom one-off things for every TRP employer every single day, but certainly there are some opportunities that we could, investigate doing refreshes on the kind of collateral that you can put on bulletin boards or put in newsletters or anything like that. And so part of why we put that on the agenda today is to just see if anybody had any great ideas, or if you've been thinking about that. Gosh, I sure would love something that helped my employees know Vanpools better. If anybody is not yet familiar with the resources that we have available on the PAG website, we do have quite a few different things that talk about health benefits and different ways to get engaged. We have the everybody's favorite, the commute cost calculator, where you can plug in your type of vehicle and how many miles that you're doing, and it'll kind of give you your monthly and your annual costs. So we have I would say nearly an abundance of resources, but today or after today, if you do think of something that would be very beneficial for you as an individual employer, we'd love to hear about it, because there's a really strong chance that that's going to be beneficial for other employers as well. And it's not a big burden for us to be able to put a specific logo or kind of customize it. That's something that we'd be more than happy to do as a service, and in gratitude for the fact that you guys are working so hard to get your employees to participate in these surveys. So I mean, maybe I'll give it a minute. We'll open the door if anybody has any ideas right now, but really this is serving to plant a seed for later that we'd love to hear from you and get some of those ideas in the future. Cool. All right, seed planted. Let us know. Another thing we wanted to talk about, the whole benefit. Mary's spoken to it. You've heard us talk about it a number of times. The more surveys we get, the better we understand our region. The better we understand our region, the better funds can flow to the best things. The better we can support alt commute. The better we can do everything. And it's really driven just by volume, by the number of people who actually take that 5 minutes to take that survey. As we know, the ordinances are inclusive of any major employers, which is defined as 100 FTEs or more, 100 employees basically. But we have volunteer organizations that choose to participate even if they don't have 100 members. And so what we'd like to take a couple of minutes to do is just to really get the idea out there that we're relying on all of you as the ambassadors and the practitioners, the people who are responsible and know ultimately how not difficult this is. For the folks that you know in your natural networks, for the folks that you have professional relationships with, anybody that you have an inkling that would be motivated or excited about the idea of contributing to the benefit of the region just by doing something very, very simple, especially if they're a smaller employer. We just ask that you let them know about it. Share our contact information. We were happy to set up a talk with them, but we'd love to have more volunteer organizations who weren't required to do it, but just did it because they felt like it was a great thing for Tucson and the region. So that's about it there. But tell your friends, we're nice. We're easy to work with, right?
Indeed.
And lastly, this is something one organization, this is not to single anybody out or make anybody else feel excluded, but I saw that Carlos was on the call today, and there's something pretty incredible about the fact that such a large organization like Walmart with so many employees in the region, Carlos was able to influence an incredibly high response rate, over 3,000 employees, 77% of their entire workforce here. We have some small, first of all, amazing job. Thank you so much for doing it. That amount of data is absolutely incredibly significant in the region. But, we know that there are other smaller employers that are doing a great job. Also want to recognize Pima County because you also got a tremendous amount of people to respond to the survey, well over 2,000 employees. So thank you as well. There are many other people. PCC did a great job. Banner University did a great job. And I'm just going for raw numbers here. As far as like response rates, there's some folks like Green Valley Pecan who actually did 100%. They're a volunteer organization. They got 88 employees and all 88 filled out the survey. Costco and Keno, 95%. Toy, Tucson Orthopedic Institute, 95%. Chapman Tucson, 94%. We've got some folks who are doing a really great job. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because some folks get it. Some folks have the support, they have the resources that they need, they're doing it, they're banging it out. Some folks act like this is the hardest thing that they have to do in an entire year. And I am being a little bit facetious and a little bit comedic here, but for some folks, the struggle is real and they don't see how they can put together all the pieces and get employees engaged and motivated and ultimately just turning the survey on, taking those 5 minutes. So with the high caliber, high performers that we have on this call, this is one where we're going to wait an uncomfortably long time until people talk, because I need to hear what you guys are doing. Let's take a couple of minutes, share those best practices. Carlos, I hope you don't feel too called out, but you're our golden child here. What are you doing? How are you doing it, man?
Hey, thank you guys. Sorry, I'm driving, so I'm heading to the airport.
Oh, no.
So I apologize for not being very vocal on this, but some of the things we've done is we get ahead of it as much as possible. We broadcast it. We have several things we do. We have our internal communication systems, which include, your standard email, that kind of stuff. But in our systems, we can start broadcasting the survey through our internal. The best way to just put it is through our internal tracking system. So we track everything, right? Everything by barcode, and within that system, we have the ability to, of whatever nature. It could be, hey, don't forget to pick up your check today, or hey, don't forget to do your benefits. And so we start broadcasting the TRP through that channel, and then we continue to continue that message forward through our contacts in each facility. And then we also have something called Walmart Radio, which broadcasts centrally from our corporate office to all of our facilities throughout the country. And so we just started using that this year, where we would broadcast, hey, don't forget to do your TRP. For those of you in Pima County, don't forget to do your TRP. So there's a constant message that we just constantly bombarded our associates with. And we do anticipate certainly not trying to brag, but we do anticipate even better numbers than this last year. I was really surprised. I thought we would definitely break the 80% mark, but we fell a little short. But we're always striving to improve that process. And, in a business like ours, where it's a lot of turnover, it really makes it tough. So that's why the messaging has to be continuous and constant, kind of in their face. But that's the best way we've been able to accomplish our goal. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's incredibly helpful. I especially like the idea that you're not reinventing the wheel for TRP, right? You have established communication systems. There are important things related to HR and payroll that already need to get communicated to employees. So why not use that same very important system to broadcast this very important information? I think that's a great point. Really appreciate you taking the time. Karen, you guys put up some great numbers this year. How'd you get over 2,000 people to respond to the survey?
Well, it is only 40%, and so I'm still disappointed that we didn't get that. But thank you for recognizing that it's a good number of people we got. So we start out with a couple of articles in our employee newsletter. We had involved our department personnel reps. So we had, I don't know, around 100, not 100 departments, but 100 representatives for those departments, and encouraging them to share information with their employees. So they have a special email. And then later in the month, we have an e-blast that goes from our communications folks to all employees, at least those who have access to computers. We also provide prizes for the department personnel reps who share, or at least somehow let me know that they've spread the word. They get on a list, so it's called the supportive DPR list. And then all employees who submit their names on the survey, at the end of the survey, they have an opportunity to put their name. And then after the survey month, Mary provided us with a list, and there were well over 1,000 people who provided their names, 1,300 or something. And then we did a random drawing and awarded, I think it was 3 prizes. Like a Hydro Flask, water bottle, nothing major. Everything was probably around $50 items that they got. Probably missing something else, but that's basically it. Oh, listservs. I have listservs for people who are interested in transit and carpool, vanpool, and biking. Just throughout the year, you just keep adding it and promoting that. And so I send direct emails to those folks. And then also I have a list of new employees who we do, there's a variety of things. There's an onboarding LMS training that they do electronically. And those names are submitted to me once a month to do a survey on a TRP the presentation that I also do. It's follow-up to that LMS training. Anyway, so I have lists of new employees from since COVID, really. And so I also emailed those folks, all the new employees. It's a lot of work, and I'm disappointed that it's only 40%.
Well, I mean, you're working hard. I mean, goals are goals. You know, we certainly, of course, we do want to get over 50% because it establishes a certain threshold of statistical significance. But I did want to take the time to recognize that, like, you guys are moving mountains over there. Like, I mean, yes, we still want to get that goal, but I mean, we would be remiss if we failed to recognize like over 2,000 surveys. That's still a great job.
And
Thank
much better than what it's been in the past. So the efforts
Indeed.
that are being made, the buy-in from Jen Lesher, you can see the needle is moving in the right direction. And, you know, we know the bigger they are, the slower they move. But as long as we're going in the right direction, that's a good thing. I would say the same of City of Tucson, because we had our designated hitter was out and a coworker had to jump in, and it wasn't a huge jump over last year, but it was better than last year. And that's what we want, better than last year. A lot of times, I'm gonna point to Devin, who's with the JCC. He's just been gifted this assignment. And also Elise, I think, was on here from Caterpillar. If she fell off, I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks like she fell off, but Caterpillar, also huge organization. They're the folks that moved into the building on the west side of the freeway. Proactive in sharing the change in contact, proactive in updating total count of employees, handing the baton over to the newly assigned person. She was on with us. She must have fell off, but she signed up for the task force meeting, wants to know more. That's how you get engaged, is just plugging in. So as long as we're all trying to head in the same direction.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. Also, Renee, would love to get your thoughts. Pima Community College did an amazing job this year, almost 1,800 responses for 54%. What's the word I'm looking for? Completion rate. What are y'all doing over there? That's really impressive.
So for us, it's kind of been the same thing each year. Well, this year was a little bit different. Prior years, we would have our Vice Chancellor of Facilities, which is the group that I fall under, send out an email out to everybody. This year, we had our Vice Chancellor of External Relations, who was basically our PIO, send out that same email and cleaned it up a lot, made it a little more simple. And we just send out reminders every week with a screenshot of the live tracking that we're able to do, that's really been helpful. So we know exactly where we're at. And it kind of creates like a competition, I think, between the different sites, because nobody wants to be the one that didn't make the grade. So that's probably been the biggest help. Where we struggle with is a lot of our employees are part-time faculty. So, you know, they have other jobs. That's where their first job is. And this is something they're, you know, kind of doing on the side. They're teaching. Those are the ones that are the hardest to get to reach. And that's a large group of that population. So.
Well, I mean, keep up the great work. You raise an interesting point, and this is something that when we do the new TC orientations, we'll frequently mention just a handful of best practices. One of them being buy-in at the highest level really solves almost every problem. You know, the further up you can push that communication to reach the entire workforce, the better chances of success. We've seen that proven out, and it makes sense, right? You know, when the provost says it's important, what do you know? It's important. You know, when the CEO says it's important, shockingly, people pay attention to that. So, you know, if you have that senior leadership buy-in, you can get a lot of traction on that. We also feel like, the messaging early and often, I think that's a common refrain that we heard from everybody. So preparing people for it, getting them ready for it, they're anticipating it, they know it's coming. And then when it rolls out really strongly. It's a, proven recipe for success. And lastly, if it works, if you have that buy-in at the manager level or senior management level, if you have the messaging right, given the fact that it does take only like 5 minutes or so, especially if at the supervisory level or the manager level, if folks can say, right now, today's the first day of the survey, take 5 minutes right now, for anywhere that's conceivable. We understand in some production facilities that's not going to be the way, but in a lot of other fields probably do have that kind of flexibility. And so if you can build that in and just go ahead and pre-buy that time for your employees, they're getting it done, and then you just have a lot less to manage for the course of the month. So thanks everybody for kind of contributing to that. This is exactly what I had hoped to get out of it, is to just kind of hear how some folks are doing it and reaching a large amount of employees. So thanks for everybody who contributed. Does anybody else have any best practices, anything you found particularly effective, or does anybody have any struggles? Are they wishing that they could reach more people? These are your peers who are really going to have that advice for you. Anybody? Or has it been an hour and 4 minutes and everybody's ready to go?
Well, we didn't start until 7 minutes after the hour, so we have 3 minutes. Amanda is online with us. I see your face, Amanda. If you wanted to share anything before we do a wrap.
Pardon me, I'm just getting over a little bit of a cold. It's really nice to see everybody today. And I get excited hearing about some of the progress we made, some of the numbers that you've read for FY23. I found really encouraging, Mary. It's glad to see that emission reductions are going in the right direction. And for me, it's really important to get to hear participants and the struggles that they actually are having, and the successes that they're having. I think we understand and appreciate all the hard work that goes into this, from PAG to everybody on the task force. So I hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving holiday. And Mary, thank you for giving me an opportunity to chime in here.
Of course. And this is your first time hearing that we're losing Adam, I think.
I know, and I was busy crying. That's why I was all choked up. It's been lovely, Adam. Good, great work here.
Oh, thank you. Likewise, Amanda. My crystal ball is a little cloudy, but something tells me we'll all be working together again on this in the future.
I'm sure we will.
He knows where he started. He's not going nowhere. Yes, I'd like to echo what Amanda said. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. It's a short week for some of you, but not for everyone. It's been a heck of a year. I'm so grateful that Adam has spent time with us, and in the short time he's been with us, he's made an impact and helped me have a different vision on what's possible. Some of these things are rinse and repeat, and so he was the injection of energy and new perspective. We do have a management analyst position posted, so we will be backfilling that position. If you are aware of people who are seeking employment and are amazing, because he made a very big set of shoes for someone to fill, we are collecting resumes and recruiting for that position. Hopefully by the end of the year we'll fill it. So we are in a forward thinking, let's move on this position about that. But Adam's going to do amazing, and he's going to be in a enterprise level position at PAG, doing what he does so well. So I'm happy we got to keep him in the agency and that he's moving on. He will be my backup until we get someone hired and trained. So if you have a question, especially in this next week, because I'm going to disappear, Adam's around to assist lightly.
Absolutely. No, happy to help. Yeah. If you can't get a hold of Mary, by all means, reach out to me. I'm not leaving the building, so I'm still happy to facilitate any questions that you have.
Wonderful. Thank you, Adam. Thank you all for spending an hour with us. We're officially 1 hour, 1 minute. Have a wonderful holiday season. I've taken some notes here of things we can also do that we can push out via email. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Stay warm. It was chilly this morning. And take care. Contact us if you need us. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.